Fidel Castro. I'm Marlena Dietrich. No, I'm not. Hi, I'm Leee John of Imagination, and welcome to Polari. In actual fact, my history before Imagination I find fascinating to me because I think, Jesus, you did all that. Because when I went to the States, I got signed to a label when I was about, say, 10, 12, yeah, because it was the Michael Jackson period. So any little black boy that was dancing and singing, and they signed me, and it was connected to a theatrical company. And they had on their books people like Stephanie Mills and Irene Cara, who were very young, and I was put forward for a play called The Me Nobody Knows. But my dad said, you know, you got to do your schoolwork and it's going to take it away from it. So, brink, that collapsed. Then I came back here to live with my mother, and it was a lot more flexible, and I got signed to EMI at 15 while I was in school, which was a great experience because, you know, we were at school and we were funky and, you know, wearing our snakeskin shoes and our velvet jackets because we got signed to a label, baby, hey. You know, so it was amazing. We had Gonzalez, who were popular. They had a hit called Haven't Stopped Dancing Yet. They were our backing musicians for the session. We had Del Newman, who produced it. He'd done stuff for Paul McCartney, Diana Ross, on and on and on. We had Thunder Thighs doing the background vocals in the do-do-do-do-do. They were the girls that sang on Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side. What else did I do? Oh gosh, I was a singing waiter, which was great, to get my equity card. And I was a Waiters of Encore. My impresario was Terry Hammond, and he had his piano, and he's like, I auditioned singing. It was, all the lights had gone off in the place where we were doing the auditions. And so he said, oh my God, there's been about 20 people coming inside here, and now I can't even see you, and you're black, you know. Sing, you know, Coming Up Roses by Gypsy. I thought, are you joking? It was like something out of a film. He said to me, no, sing Coming Up Roses. So he went, dong. He said, not the whole thing, just the ending. Honey, everything's coming up roses for me and for you. So I said, okay, like that? He said, no, sing it your way. So I thought, okay. So then he kept doing it and going higher and higher and higher just to test my voice. Dara Schwartz. But you know, all these kind of things are coming back in a sense because I think, and I know this for a fact, when the whole AIDS pandemic hit America and Europe, a lot of people passed. A lot of people in the entertainment passed. There were some wonderful people who, you know, were so inspiring for theater and film and stuff. And a lot of those legacies, a lot of those images, you know, there's a lot of stuff that just went. And so who was there to continue it? You know what I'm saying? It was like all cleared out, and now a lot of people are having to rediscover all of that. You know, some of it's very camp, but some of it was very involving because some of these people were technicians at photography, technicians in the old movies and things like that. You know, it's how deep you really want to know about your craft, and that's one of the things I'm very much into because people see Imagination, they see Music and Lights and Sequins and Pearls, and they just think I'm just, you know, especially here, it's like one dimension. But for me, I have many different hands. I do different things. I would think that Burning Up was definitely influential to all the Chicago and New York house DJs at the time. In actual fact, that's what got us over to America because we had two tracks that they liked, was So Good So Right and Burning Up. And Larry Levan at Paradise Garage, he would play these records. We became his babies. He would bring us over there to perform at Paradise Garage because it was one of the main heavy clubs in New York. And I remember Marshall Jefferson telling me that how influential Burning Up was because, I mean, that record was 1981. And by the time house kind of swang in, it was like 87, 88, you know, where you had that piano. And they just took bits of that. And every record had that sort of flavor of Burning Up, which was quite funny. I'm burning up. I'm burning up. I'm burning up. To be revolutionary and to be very different, especially when you're about to go on British TV, you had to be bam in people's face. For you to exist, for you to really be consistently, everyone's talking about you, you had to be bam. we knew the music was going because Body Talk was one of the biggest club records prior to its release, April, May, June, I think, in 81. The club scene was going crazy, so we felt we had to be phenomenally, dynamically visual, so it takes it to the next level. I think as we went along, we'd say, oh, we want to do the Sabu look or something like that, and my bass player, my drummer, Aaron and Ashley were big, hunky things, and I was a skinny thing in the middle. You know, people say, oh, you're so sexy, and I just played it like, you know, sexy, but it was just sending it up.
Flashback to the days when the nights were young. Flashback when we could do no wrong. Flashback we used to dance till the light of dawn. Flashback to when our hearts were strong.
I think that what's lacking with the male performer these days is they don't push the limit. You know, I hear Prince was in town. I'd have loved to have seen him. He pushed the limit, and that's the kind of people, we were part of that kind of legacy. There are some artists that can do it, but they're not being pushed into the mainstream pop industry. To be taken or visually on a journey, and that's what it's all about. I think they don't utilize as much as they should be doing. They're waiting for someone else to do it, and I think that's what the whole scenario, that everyone's waiting for someone else to come with the next thing. What's going on in the world of Leee John this year? Wow. We've been working on a documentary called Flashback, the history of UK black music, for the last 4 years. We found when we first started the documentary that we were talking about the 70s and the 80s of UK black music, but then we expanded it and we went to the turn of the century, so we start from like before the 1800s and we move into the 20s and the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, and it's become a great wealth of knowledge, and we feel it's going to be very strong because we've tapped into some things that I don't think people have before.
We all need to represent.
We must all find something that we should stand up for.
The world was our oyster, and there was no limitation.
The beginning of something very, very important.
UK needs to be educated about the black experience.
I mean, there was just so many bands that were doing fantastic things.
We were all making different music, and Britain wanted it. We wanted it.
When you're a person of colour, you have so much of a barrier, especially here, to fight more than anything else. Like, for example, one of the things we found was in the 60s and 70s, there were many groups, especially black groups. And when I say groups, I mean groups that play their instruments. So you think of a group, you think bass, guitar, keyboards, drums, and then a singer. Nowadays, when you think of a group, you're not thinking of a black group that way. You're thinking of a black group, they're either hip-hop with 2 decks or 4 boys dancing and prancing with 18 dancers behind them. You don't think of a black group like that. You think more of a white group, an indie band, that kind of situation. But years ago, you would. And that, to me, that whole structure is ridiculous because there's so many great musicians of all colours out there. And that's what it's about. That's what the documentary kind of brings that back out. So therefore, it encourages the youth of all divisions to bring back the music.